All right, so we should be live now. So hi guys, good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I hope you guys are doing okay. It's our 8 p.m. Focus, and that's actually the really nice thing I have to say about just this time of the year is that it's so nice that it's like so light out still at 8 p.m.
Yeah,
It's one thing
yeah,
about the winter that really gets to me. I don't mind the
yeah,
temperature so
for
much, but I
sure.
hate when it's 4 or 5 and it's all dark outside already.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely getting better. Although the weather has been hasn't been really good this past few days,
Mm,
past couple of days, I guess. But yeah,
yeah,
hopefully
see,
gets
I don't
better.
even, it's my house, I feel like it's just
Hmm.
perpetually cold because I don't get any
Hmm.
sunlight really. I don't get like the rays of
Oh.
sun never come inside.
Hmm.
And then my bedrooms, they are downstairs. They're kind of like underground, actually.
Hmm.
So it's just like it's always really cold. And the fact that you're never out and about walking, like you don't
Hmm.
really like warm up yourself.
Um,
And
that could be a
so,
problem. I understand what you mean. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Hi,
great.
Kiara. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, fantastic. I definitely remember Clara, yeah, from other lessons in the past. So welcome back.
Hmm.
Clara, where do you come from again? The one thing that I tend to forget is like the cities. So if you
Hmm.
could let us know, it's just out of curiosity more than anything. And we should have two more people. Someone just joined as well, watching us. If you guys can, as always, tell us your name, tell us where you come from, just so we're all on the same page here. I guess we can also introduce ourselves briefly.
Hmm.
I actually just had Antonio for another focus. So welcome back, Antonio. I'm Thiago. You can probably see my name there on the screen. I'm 29. I'm from Brazil originally, but I grew up in California, and I live and work in Milan. I have been with Mayes since 2016. Yeah, 2016.
2016? Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been quite a
I think
while.
you
Yeah.
mentioned that before. I just didn't remember
Yeah,
that.
it definitely
Weird.
doesn't feel like it's been that long. But
Oh,
it has, yeah.
okay. So my name is Anika. As you may know me from other webinars, and I'm from Bangladesh originally. I've been living in Italy for about 6 years. Before that, I used to live in Malaysia for many years. Right.
Good. Fantastic. And so, yeah, Clara is Sicilian. And now I remember, yeah, we live in Parma. Perfect.
Hmm.
And we also have Alessandro who just joined us, and he is from IS Naples. Fantastic. Cool, guys. So we're going to jump right in here then. So today we're talking about shopping. And Anika, could you please
Mhm.
read the three objectives that we have?
Yes, of course. So in this focus activity, we are going to talk about shopping vocabulary. We're going to talk about shopping habits and giving reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, speaking of shopping habits, and guys, please, we're going to read these questions and just choose one, or two in particular, and let us know what you think. All right. Obviously, this being level 10 to 13, we really encourage you guys to take risks. If there are expressions that you think might work, but you're not too sure, just try it. It's a good way for us to at least give you immediate feedback on whether or not you're using, a phrasal verb or an expression you heard, etc. So, all right, keep that in mind. So let's see. Question number one is how often do you go shopping and how much time do you spend when you go?
Hmm.
Two, what was the last thing you bought for yourself? Where and why did you buy it? And lastly, three, when you shop, what influences you the most? Price, the quality, the label or brand, etc. So, Anika, just generally speaking, do you enjoy shopping?
In general, I do enjoy shopping, especially if it involves clothes shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do not particularly enjoy food shopping, um, but yeah, So, what about you, Chago? Do you enjoy shopping?
I'm kind of the opposite here. I love food
Mm.
shopping.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much like the experience itself of maybe getting things from the supermarket, but
Mm.
I really enjoy then coming back home and having all the food that I can eat.
Oh.
One thing I certainly don't like about it, during this time is the fact that the lines are really long. Although I know Esselunga now they have an app that you can use so that you don't really have to. They will tell you 30 minutes before, and then you just have to show up and you get in right away. So that's nice. And also the fact that maybe I'm being overly paranoid, but I tend to wipe down every product I buy with
Mm-mm.
gel when I come home
Mm-hmm.
now. And so
Mm-hmm.
that takes just such a long time, like every box, all
Mm-hmm.
corners. But in terms of clothes shopping, I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like buying it itself, but see, I don't like trying it on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, I guess it's nice if I just
Oh,
have it,
really?
not the process of
Mm.
trying it on, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that surprises me because I think it's one of the best parts.
Really, just trying
Try
it
on the
on.
clothes. Yes, it's nice. Sometimes I don't really buy, but it's nice to try it on. But then that's because I'm learning to sew. So I have a special interest in clothing. So I check out
Ah,
how the patterns are, how they're like cut up. So
I
I look at it
see.
in a different
Okay.
way. So I don't always end up buying things. Sometimes I just go window shopping.
Yeah, good expression.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so in case you guys don't know, window shopping is when you just go around, look at things, and you don't buy anything. So I enjoy doing that as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally get when you said that you have to wipe out things, being paranoid about going to the supermarket these days. So I don't do that, but what I do is I avoid taking any trolleys or baskets. I don't know. I have a thing about it now.
Of
Like I
course, yeah,
try
because
not to touch
everyone's touching it.
any of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So I think everybody has their own paranoia about this whole situation.
Sure, of course. Yeah. And yeah, the thing you mentioned before about the fitting rooms. Now, see, one thing that kind of annoys me a bit is the fact that a lot of the times you have a limit of how many items you can bring inside. It tends to be like six, no more than seven. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just the whole walking inside and outside, and I always forget my size. If I'm buying like
Oh.
pants or jeans, I just don't
Mm-hmm.
remember what I am. And so what I'll do is, oh, I like this like like this these pair of pants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try three different ones because I don't remember what I am. And
Hmm.
sometimes it varies as well. So that's already three items that I'm bringing inside. And
Hmm.
so it's just like all these different trips, I think, to
Mm-hmm.
the fitting room.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I get a
Okay.
bit impatient, I suppose.
Also, it can be frustrating if there's a long queue.
Yeah, especially during the sales. Yeah, they're always like
Mm.
pretty long lines.
Hmm.
Yeah, depends on the shop as well, of course. Some
Yeah.
of them are better than the others. So
Sure.
let's see, we have some answers coming in. Alessandro says, I go shopping 2 or 3 times in a week, once in this period. Okay. And so I guess maybe you mean food shopping in this case, right, Alessandro? Because I think most other shops are closed. Uh, Clara says, broadly speaking, very good expression. I enjoy shopping apart from sales period. Speaking about clothes, speaking about grocery stores, I like choosing food and reading both labels and the ingredients. Great. Yeah,
Hmm.
I also spend a lot of time looking at labels. I'm a bit of a slow shopper because of that.
Huh.
And then Alessandro also says it depends on the shop, sometimes a couple of minutes, other times also an hour. Very good. And Clara says, I think that in this situation, e-commerce is a time-saving shopping, and it's the best option. Yeah, nicely done. Maybe I just so maybe you don't need shopping after time saving. So I would maybe remove shopping and So e-commerce is time saving. Yeah, because in any case, shopping I wouldn't say it's countable, so I would never say shopping. But you can say e-commerce is a type of shopping that is time saving or something like that. Maybe would work best. But nice phrases there, like the way you word it is quite nice. Time saving itself is a good expression too. Cool. So, Anika, you said that you are interested in the sewing patterns because that's something like that you're into
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
Does
Mm.
that influence you, like when you're buying clothes? Like, is that something you're
Mm.
like you look for?
Yeah, sometimes um well, it's not like my taste changes according to what I make, but then I get ideas from it. So if I see
Ah,
something that then it gives me ideas about what to sew next, or I mean, I find things to learn from it, like observing how the cutting is done, things like that.
oh, that's cool. And do you have a
Um,
sewing machine then?
oh yes, it's pretty new actually. I bought it last August. So I'm still learning. I'm not as good as I would like to be. So I think that's the reason why I like shopping these days a lot more than before.
Yeah.
But then I don't always end up buying things. And also I think I buy things less now because um, I often find myself coming back home and thinking, oh my God, I could actually make that instead of buying it. Um,
Yeah,
and
exactly. And it's
yeah,
nice. You can personalize like so much, like do it exactly the way
sure.
you want. It's definitely
Yeah.
like saves money as well. I mean, it's more effort, but
Mm-mm.
I imagine it's quite yeah, you can get to save a lot and you can make it exactly also tailored to
Mm-hmm.
your size, your body. So that's great.
Sure, and also with all this news about fast fashion, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you want to reduce on your consumption.
Sure,
So
exactly.
another motivation.
Yeah, that's one thing I struggle quite a bit with, because
Mm,
I mean, I don't quite have a lot of money to be buying, things that are more expensive than you would
mm,
find in regular shops. But then even shops that I didn't think were quite, such bad for fast fashion, they are. And
mm-hmm,
so it's something that I think about so much when I go shopping now. And so I just kind of like
mm,
avoid it. And I'm just like, okay, well, do I really need this? No. So I'm
yeah.
just like re-wearing stuff a lot
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Alessandro also says the last thing that I bought was a pair of shoes. I bought them because of the color. I didn't have a pair of white shoes before. Great. That is a
Mm,
huge market nowadays, huh? Like sneakers.
hmm.
Like I see so many people like buying sneakers to like to resell it, and they're all these like rare models that are just super expensive. Yeah, it's
Oh,
a huge
really?
thing. Yeah, yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
really big
So
thing right now.
specifically ones.
Yeah, lots of like Nikes,
Mhm. All
especially.
right.
But I guess sneakers. It's just like a huge
Okay.
market.
Mhm. So sneakers are like running shoes, or like in case you guys don't know, so a lot of people call them trainers.
Trainers as well.
Or
Yeah,
yeah, I'm also used to saying sneakers, but I hear a lot of people saying trainers.
exactly. Clara says I am influenced by food bloggers. I mean that I'm attracted by their mouth-watering food, and I want to cool, and I want to reproduce them. Me too, Clara. I really like cooking, and during the quarantine, especially, I've been just trying all sorts of different things that I've always wanted to try. And then Clara also says, when I buy clothes, I don't like being I don't like to conform, maybe. So I always look for something that is different, even though shops look all the same. And Alessandro, I'm mostly influenced by quality and research. What do you mean by research, Alessandro? Just so I'm sure, what you're talking about here. Cool. Clara, this is something I noticed for sure when I lived in Crema. So this is I don't know if you ever heard of Crema, Anika.
Um,
It's a mid-sized
mhm.
city, I guess, bit of a town. It's about an hour from Milan,
Mm-mm.
and I worked in a high school there before moving here,
All
and
right.
definitely I felt like all the shops on the main street, like all the clothes were the same. It's the same
Really?
exact style. Yeah.
That sounds
And it's
boring.
something that in Milan, I don't see
Hmm.
as much because there's just such a variety of
Mm,
styles, and but also the people.
yeah.
It was really like all the windows looked the same, and kind of
Hmm.
most of the people walking also were dressed like the windows.
Hmm.
So it was
Oh,
quite
that's interesting. I didn't
yeah.
know that. So that all conform to. the standard style.
Yeah. So yeah, Alessandro, yeah, I understand what you mean by the sneakers reselling. Sometimes I buy to resell, but it's stressful because of time wasters and scammers. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, guys, cool. Thanks for all the, all the participation. Really nice contribution. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna look at some vocabulary. So some of them, like window shopping, we already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So look at these words. I'm gonna ask maybe Anika if you could read them,
Yeah, of
and you
course.
guys just tell us, the meaning of some of these, and then we'll put them into context as well.
Okay, so we have the words bargain, we have window shopping, shopaholic, consumer society, haggle, discount, shopping center, impulse buy, and department store. Okay.
Exactly. So just let us know the ones that you know, or if it's easier, you can also tell us the ones that you don't know. So you can
Mm-hmm.
ask us and we can try to get others to answer. So Alessandro says, for research, I mean ideas or inspirations or origins of a specific. I see. So you're also quite interested in the history behind that product.
Hmm.
Cool, cool.
That's great. Yeah, for clothes, for example, you want to know about the material sometimes because sometimes I care about whether it's going to last for a long time or not.
Hmm.
So research helps in that case.
This is something I have noticed,
Hmm.
purely anecdotal perhaps, but there are
Mm-hmm.
some shops that are definitely, they fall into the category of fast fashion that, I bought things from them, back in 2011, 2012, and they're still pretty good. I mean, and we're talking
Hmm.
things, even like maybe coats that I have
Hmm.
worn, winter after winter, still fine.
Hmm. Hmm.
Things that I have bought over the last like 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
it is just, they seem to kind of fall apart so easily these
Hmm.
days.
They do fall apart. I mean, the quality is becoming like lower and lower these days
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
fast
because
fashion has become
there were
popular.
some brands that I, thought were, yeah, like pretty durable, something that would
Hmm.
last me, and not even that cheap either.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, I've even like stopped shopping there.
Hmm.
So, Clara has some good questions here. So, the meaning of haggle. Now, to haggle, this is it's a verb, and it's something that you do if you're trying to get a better price. So, it's not very common in regular retail shops usually, but if you are maybe at a street market, it can
I
be
was thinking the
common to
same.
haggle. So, there is a price there. You ask for something lower, they ask for something a little bit higher but lower than the original price, and so you try to find a good compromise, something that works for both sides.
Are you good at
Haggle.
haggling,
I am
Thiago?
terrible at haggling. What about you?
Me too. My mom is really good at it. So
Yeah.
Bangladeshi women are in general really good at haggling, but not me. I don't
Yeah,
know
that
why.
was definitely my experience when I was in India,
Uh-huh.
because it's like most things don't even have a price tag.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
especially once they see that, you're not from there,
Hmm.
they tend to kind of come up with whatever price they feel like you pay.
Hmm.
And the people that because I was there for a wedding a couple years ago, and
Oh, nice.
the people that I was with, so they were
Hmm.
locals, and they were like masters at haggling. But
Oh
even
my
to
God.
a point where I was like, all right, stop, because I was like, okay, it's a fair price. Like I'm willing to pay for this. It's
Yeah.
okay. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, 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 we're just gonna walk. I was like, no, no, it's fine. Like it's really cheap. Like let me just give. Almost like I'll just tip the guy. It's fine. It's fine.
Hmm. Yeah.
But they're
They're
like,
really
no.
aggressive hagglers.
Yeah.
They would just give a price and then walk away.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Clara, it's quite similar. Yeah, if you get a
Hmm.
bargain, I mean, if you haggle and if you're good at haggling, usually you get a bargain. So you get a good deal.
Mm-mm.
But bargain is also another verb you can use instead of haggle. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. People are not good at bargaining.
Mm-mm.
And then shopping center versus department store. Ooh, that's a very good one. Small difference.
Yeah. So a shopping center could be like a big place, could be a big building where you go shopping at different shops. A mall is a shopping center, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But a department store is a shop, like a smaller shop where you go and buy specific things. Right.
Yeah, exactly. A big difference, I would say, as well, between a shopping center and a department store, because they have some similarities, right? Because department store, it's smaller than a mall, but it's still pretty big. If you guys think of Rinascente in Italy, that's, I think, the
Mm,
best example of a department store. So if you go to Rinascente, you have different departments, which is usually by brand, right? So this brand, that brand, that brand, and you find the different products. And in a mall, it's also quite similar. You have different shops of different brands, and they sell the same thing. But if you go to a shopping mall, it's more of the you pay directly for each store. So each store, they have their own management. Whereas a department store, it's all one thing. So they manage all of the sales. So even from an organizational point of view, it's quite different. Mall, you rent the space in a shopping center and then you open your shop there. But a department store, it's their responsibility to choose what to sell, how to set it up, etc. So, all right, all right. So I guess if everything else is clear, let's fill in the blanks. So while you guys put in the best option for each, Anika and I will just alternate reading them.
okay.
So number one, do you know anyone who is and can't control his or her spending?
Okay. Number two, what is the nearest something? What's your favorite something there?
Great. Have you ever tried to at a street market?
And then number four, have you made any sudden something that you didn't plan for lately?
Good. If you don't have any money, do you still like to go?
Okay, number six, what was the last something you found that was a good price and good quality? Did you pay full price or get a something?
Exactly. And seven, do you think we live in a blank?
Okay. So these are all questions. So maybe we can fill out all the questions, complete the questions, and also discuss the answers to them. Okay, so number one refers to someone who can't control his or her spending. So you guys can put a number and just the word. You don't have to write the whole question.
Exactly. So we're just gonna go. Oh,
Okay,
perfect. We got
great.
one.
So
Yep.
Sandra says shopaholic. Well done.
A
You're
shopaholic. Yeah.
okay.
Nicely done. Actually, I see what you mean, Kara, because it would be an impulsive buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah.
But yeah, an impulsive buyer. That's someone who is in the moment they see something, I want it, I'm just gonna buy it. So
Mm-mm.
it's the impulse of the moment. Here, it's like, yeah, someone who can control their spending. Though, of course, an impulse buyer most likely cannot control their spending either. But yeah, aholic is something we use a lot for when you have something, an addiction that you cannot control. Alcoholic, chocoholic, workaholic.
Yeah. Impulse is mostly at the moment.
And then Clara says shopping center, department store. Exactly, you're absolutely right. So where is the nearest shopping center? What's your favorite department store there? Great, great. Yeah. One of the things I love about shopping in Italy is the fact that you don't have to go to a shopping center because I don't like them.
Yeah, me neither.
They're
I
just
remember
so
a lot of time in
standard,
Malaysia.
right? In
Mhm.
Malaysia, they have a lot of them.
Yes, a lot of them, and people spend a lot of time there. Although I didn't
Same. Is it
understand
is
that
it
because
is it due to safety reasons?
not really. People just like going to malls and shopping centers.
Oh, really? Because that is
Also,
something that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, which I didn't understand, especially because it was really nice outside. It's very green, and it's always perfect for a walk outside. Lots of
But
places
then
to
they're
go.
all
So
going inside.
yeah,
That's the
I don't know
same thing I
why.
think for Brazil because imagine like Brazil. I mean, there's so much. It's so beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
People always go to the shopping center. But I know that there's this. It's a big reason, especially in cities, is
Mm-hmm.
just because it can be a pretty violent country. A lot of the cities can. There's a lot of violence, especially if you want to dress well. If you want to go
All
out and
right.
about with jewelry, with an expensive phone, etc., you
Mm-hmm.
are an easy target on the street.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to a mall where you have security, etc., it's almost like being in your own little bubble. And so they have like clinics inside malls. People can go to
Mm-hmm.
doctor's appointments. They have like gyms.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, they have like basically you can have your
Mm-hmm.
whole life inside that mall. It's really
Oh, that's
I hate it though, because
amazing.
I'm in Brazil. Like I don't want to be inside a
Mm-hmm.
place that literally looks the
Oh.
same everywhere in
Mm-hmm.
the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we have number three there. So you guys mentioned haggle or bargain. If we use bargain as a verb, that also
Mm-hmm.
works. Have you ever tried to haggle at a street market? Fantastic. For Alessandra said impulse buy. Clara said impulse buy. I believe you guys are absolutely right. Very good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
for five, Alexander says window shopping.
Hmm.
So yeah, very good. For six, we have Clara saying it's bargain and discount.
Good job. Yeah, because if
Okay.
you use bargain as a noun, then it
Mm,
means a good deal. But
mm,
bargain as a verb can also mean haggle.
yeah.
And do you
So the
think we
last one for
live
seven,
in
Alexander says consumer society.
Exactly. Very good, guys. So before we continue, we move on to the next part. It would be great if you guys could choose one question, one that you find particularly interesting. Try to write a nice, thought out answer to us. So, what do you think of this? And then while we wait for you, Anika and I can also discuss some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so keep the answers coming. So let's see, Anika, do you want to choose one in particular and
Sure.
ask me?
We can talk about. All right. So let's. I'm going to talk about number three. Have you ever tried to haggle at a street market? So I have tried and miserably failed at haggling at a street market. I'm not very good at it. Although I know a lot of people who are really good at it. Also, in here in Milan, like you can haggle at a street market sometimes, and I have seen some of my friends are really getting some fruits for a really good price.
Oh, really? And so
Yeah,
why do you struggle? So what's the part that you find hard to do?
I give in. They're like, I feel like okay, maybe it's the price is already very low, so I don't need to ask for a lower price. And then later I would bring that thing home, and then someone would say, "Oh, it could have been lower than that."
Oh, really?
So yeah. And what about you? Have you ever tried to haggle at a street market?
Not really. I mean, I remember, for example, so again, if when I had people visit in Brazil, and if maybe they're trying to buy like a lot of things from like a stand, I
Hmm.
have helped them, but not for my sake, but for their sake. Because see,
Okay.
I feel there's like almost like a sense of guilt, maybe, because I just
Hmm.
think, if we're haggling, we're usually doing this in a street market sort of context.
Hmm.
And I know it can be difficult for people to make a living out of,
Hmm. Oh,
selling
that's
things on the
true.
street
I
already.
agree.
And so
Hmm.
I just feel like, yes, I could save a little bit of money,
Hmm.
but is that worth me taking that little bit from someone who's don't
Hmm.
doesn't have like a stable income?
That's
So
true.
it's
I
just
feel the
really
same.
hard for me to like
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah, sometimes you like question yourself, like, okay, yeah, is it? I mean, this guy's really working hard for this, so
Yeah, and that
I
was
agree
the
with
the
you.
feeling that I had when I
Mm,
was in India. I was like, it's fine. I mean, you guys are like saying,
mm,
oh, let's just walk away because they're not giving us like the equivalent of like a 1 euro
mm,
discount. And I'm like, it's 1 euro. Like,
yeah,
this is a coffee for me. Like, I don't care. Like, it
mm,
means nothing. And maybe to this like street vendor, that's like a much bigger difference than it is for me.
yeah,
So that was like part of
yeah,
my frustration with it.
yeah. Well, I didn't know you went to India. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, I went there for a
Oh,
wedding, so I was only there
mm,
for like 5 days or so, and I
okay.
and I
Where in
didn't
India?
really.
That
So I was in it was in Punjab.
Punjab.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, like it was about maybe 2 hours away from the border with Pakistan.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I was like in just like a small town there.
mm.
So yeah, it
Nice,
was
very
great.
nice.
It was just last
Mm,
January actually.
cool.
Yeah. So then
Great.
let's
Do you
see
have
here,
some comments coming up?
Alessandro. My English teacher says that we are interested in things with a lower price to buy more. I agree with him. So that's the part about if we live in a consumer society. Because yeah, because we feel like we can just buy more,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why we buy, just because it's possible. I certainly feel that way with flights. See, that's like I know flights are terrible, and you really should
Mm-hmm.
avoid it for the environment. But I find it
Mm-hmm.
so hard to resist when it's like
Mm.
20 euros. And like that's all I
Yeah.
see.
All the budget airlines are like reducing prices, especially
Yeah.
like I think now. I mean, after the situation gets better, I mean, it will be really low for a while, I guess.
Yeah, although I was reading an article yesterday saying that it's kind of like it will be hard for them to be able to do that again.
Hmm.
They might have
Oh,
to, but yeah, it's
really?
going to be such
Hmm.
an interesting time for
Hmm.
airlines.
Yeah.
Really tough industry to, with this situation because people are flying so much and all of a sudden you go
Yeah.
from that to zero.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the whole situation is teaching us how to be kinder to our environment.
Hmm. I certainly think. I mean, I hope that that's something we can
Yeah.
actually,
Learn
take
from, I
away.
guess.
Well, I
Hmm.
saw an article today in the Guardian
Hmm.
that actually said that Milan has made a decision to. So after the lockdown,
Oh, I
it
heard
has
about
this
that. Yeah.
35 kilometers, right? Of like,
Yeah. For bicycles.
it's
Yeah.
going to become
Bicycle
like, yeah,
access.
bicycles and pedestrians. So,
Mm.
yeah, I saw also Amsterdam, they are applying the
Hmm.
donut. Have you ever heard of the donut model?
Not really. No. What
It's
is it?
such, yeah, it's really interesting. Donut model comes from like the idea of donut economics.
Hmm.
So the whole idea behind it is that we live in a world in which obviously we want to provide people with their basic needs. At the same time, we don't want to be doing too much so that we exceed what the planet offers us in terms of just limits of resources, etc.
Hmm.
So there's these economists who came up with this model, and it's kind of shaped like a donut.
Hmm.
And anything, for example, if humanity is falling short on like some, maybe housing or water, etc., that
Hmm.
means that we're kind of like in the center of the donut. So we're kind of moving towards the center, and that's not good. If we're
Hmm.
using too many resources, then we're outside the donut. So basically, you
Oh.
want to always stay within the donut, and
Oh, okay.
and then in there, there's like different things, from like transportation to healthcare, access
Hmm.
to water, basic housing, etc. And it's something that cities, businesses, countries can start applying, like, with that method, as
Hmm.
opposed to just thinking of GDP and constant growth, etc.
Hmm.
So just measuring the economy differently. And Amsterdam has decided to apply the donut model to their city after the lockdown as well.
Okay. Wow, that sounds interesting. I'm definitely going to do more research about it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think she gave a
Hmm.
TED talk as well.
Hmm.
So it's like easier to. She has like a book,
Okay.
but a TED talk. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how people are viewing a lot of things differently because of this. So I think people are going to change their lifestyle or do many things differently after the lockdown.
We hope so. Yeah. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
Clara is kind of touching on as well. She
Mm-hmm.
says, I think it's true that we live in a consumer society. I reckon that the lockdown is a good example to verify it. We need, if we neither buy or sell anything, so if we don't buy or sell, you could say it like that. If we
Mm-hmm.
don't buy or sell anything, the economy goes down, and many sectors are failing because they can't buy and they cannot sell. Yeah, definitely. We cannot do this. Yeah, we're really
Yeah.
dependent on this idea of constant growth, right? We just
Mm-hmm.
always want to keep growing, 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 but it's clearly not realistic. So cool. Now, we talked a little bit about impulsive shopping before, impulsive buyers. So
Mm-hmm.
here we're going to touch on the difference between impulsive versus compulsive. So, Anika, do you want to read these
Okay.
questions?
Yeah. So we have. I'm just going to read from my side here. What is the difference between an impulsive shopper and a compulsive shopper? And the second question is, are men or women more likely to be impulsive shoppers or compulsive shoppers? It's an interesting question there. And the third question is, do you like compulsive shopping? Do you think compulsive shopping is becoming more or less of a problem? Why?
Exactly.
Okay.
So maybe we can just briefly talk about the difference, and then you guys, if you want to focus
Mhm.
more on question two or three.
Mhm.
So, how do you perceive this difference, Anika? Impulsive versus compulsive.
So if someone is an impulsive shopper, and they see something they like at the moment in a shop, they would quickly buy it without thinking about it. So that's an impulsive action, an impulsive shopper. Whereas a compulsive shopper constantly buys things, like even if they're not in a shop, they're thinking about, okay, I have to go and buy this. So impulsive is more about at the moment you buy something. So, for example, I remember buying a skirt that I bought and later regretted buying it. So I thought it was an impulsive buy. But I am not a compulsive shopper. It doesn't always happen that I have to constantly buy it.
Mhm. Yeah, we talk about like a regret buy, right? A regret purchase.
Yes, regret purchase.
Yeah,
So, does that ever happen to you, Chago? Do you ever impulse buy?
definitely. Yeah, there have been a few items of clothing that I did, and that's the other thing about fitting rooms. I think sometimes is they can be quite, like they might set it up in such a way with like specific lighting, or they might have the mirror slightly, giving a certain distortion to make you look better. So when you try it on at the store, it looks great. You come home, you notice it's not nearly as good as it looked there.
Also, the lighting make things look like much better there sometimes.
Yeah. I've also seen the opposite though. I've seen like shops that have put absolutely zero thought to their fitting rooms. And so even you just don't even want to look at yourself, you know? Like you just go in there, there's like this really bright light against like white walls. And so you're just like, you just like, yeah, you see like all your imperfections and you're just like, okay, I just don't even want to like look at myself in this mirror.
Mm. Okay,
Uh,
we have some responses here. So Clara says women are more impulsive and compulsive shoppers. I know a few men who enjoy shopping. And Alexander agrees with Clara on question two. Well, I kind of have slightly different opinion. I think one of them is I think there are more women who are compulsive shoppers, but there are more men who are impulsive shoppers. If that makes any sense. And if you guys agree with me.
Yeah, I think it
So I don't
depends so
know.
much on the context as well, right? It's such a general question. I
Yeah.
think I think we have the answers. But I don't even know what study this is here. Let me see. I think it's the second PDF.
So there are studies involved.
Yeah, it's like it's based on like a study, but they don't like mention any any sources. So I'm not sure how good a study
Okay.
this is.
Well, I
Let's
was
see.
thinking in terms of like, for example, a lot of the times my dad would come home and with something that nobody needed. Like, I don't know, and he'll be like, "Oh my god, it's great," but nobody needed that. So it's like he impulsively thought it was a great idea to buy it. But I have a lot of friends, for example, who would be like, "Oh my god, we have to go shopping. Let's go."
I see. Okay.
I felt that in that way. I thought like, okay, men could be impulsive buyers and women compulsive buyers. So you may not agree with me. So I just have this kind of general idea. So Alexander here
Yeah.
says, impulsive. You see a thing, you fall in love with it, and you buy it. Yeah, that's exactly what impulsive buying is. So, do you agree with me, Alexander, or do you have some other opinion? I kind of happen to think, I may be wrong, that men could be, there are more men who are impulsive buyers, and more women are compulsive buy shoppers, or more of a shopaholic. Okay. So Chiara here also says, I think that nowadays compulsive shopping is becoming a problem because people can just click and buy something. Easier payment systems are fostering it.
Wow, fantastic verb there.
It's so
Fostering.
true.
Yeah.
And especially now. The other day I had a student telling me that, okay, this weekend I'm going to resist going to any online shops. So I won't
Oh,
buy
really?
anything. Yeah. It's just really making an effort not to buy anything.
Yeah, I like surprisingly, I used to be worse with online shopping, but I don't do much of it nowadays, actually. I guess I just don't buy too many things in general. It's nice sometimes to compare price,
Mm-hmm.
just to see if know what's in store, if it's available. But yeah, I mean, Amazon, of course, is a huge one. It's very convenient because it's fast, especially if you have like the premium service, you have Amazon Prime, it's usually there the next day. So it is quite nice and convenient in that regard. But then, I don't know, there are also some practices that I don't agree with.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a tricky one. Yeah, clothes, for example, I don't buy them online because it almost never fits right when you just buy it
Yeah,
online.
it's really risky. I never buy on clothes online.
Yeah.
The only things I do buy online are books because sometimes
Yeah.
they're not available. The book that you want are not there at the shop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, especially if you want it in English and you live in
Yes.
an in Italy, for example, it's the selection is a lot more limited.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
agree. But I've also, I've seen people who do like buying clothes online. And
Mhm.
then, when I ask them about the size, oh yeah, but they have like, you can just return it and get a new one. But then I'm like, okay, let's go back to the environment here for a second. You're getting it shipped to you and then you
Mhm.
ship it back because it didn't fit you. They ship you another one.
Mhm.
So it's just like, I don't
Yeah.
know. You could just go to a shop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, all the stories I hear about Amazon Prime, like how hard people are working to get things delivered on time. So yeah, makes you want to think twice when you order something.
Exactly. Let's
Okay.
see here. Alessandro says compulsive shopping could be a problem because nowadays it's much easier to buy something mainly online. Yeah, yeah. I think it's what Anika was saying as well before, right? It's just so much easier. Um, yeah, just a couple clicks. Very good. And Clara, I prefer buying clothes in the physical shop because they can fit horribly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Plus, I'm
horribly.
quite short myself. And so things don't a lot of the times they end up like being a bit too long, and so it's not always the easiest to find things that fit me nicely. So
Hmm.
that's another reason.
Hmm. Okay, so Clara agrees with me about books, but only about books of which I know already. Only the books I know already, or only books from authors that you know already. Sometimes I prefer to go to bookshops and read some initial pages from some
Hmm.
beginning. Oh, me too. I love doing that. So you get an idea about whether you're gonna like it. Okay, I don't read the whole book just to understand if you like it or not.
Yeah.
And Alexander here says sometimes I buy clothes online, but know the size and I know the size and the fitting. Okay,
Yeah, and how it would fit, maybe
how it
something
would
like that.
fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you buy online, you have to know it. Or if you have a measuring tape, you can actually find out your size really easily.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think online they have like if it's a whatever size it is, if it's small or medium, whatever, you can actually measure it on you and know exactly what your size is.
yeah.
Although it may not be like I don't know the shape you want it to be. Maybe it's like up too puffy somewhere, you know.
Yeah, it's
So.
funny. One thing I noticed that in Italy, I don't think I've ever seen this, but in the
Hmm.
States, it's really common. Is when you're buying pants,
Hmm.
usually we get two measures in the States. You have the waist, but also the length. And
Uh,
whereas I notice here, it's always the same. It's just one
yeah,
size,
yeah. I haven't
which
seen that. Oh, really?
it
That's interesting.
works. It works like well for me. I mean, I think compared to like I guess like your average Italian men, I'm not that different. So usually it's okay. But I can imagine, yeah, if someone is like really really tall or
Mm-mm.
yeah, because like maybe they need that waist size, but they just need a different length. So
Hmm.
it's always one.
Yeah. Well, Clara here says sometimes I test. Well, a better word to use is try on. So when you try on clothes or shoes, you put it on to see if it's okay. You try on shoes in the shops, and then I buy them online because they're cheaper.
Ah, there you go.
Very clever. It's not fair, I know, but it's money saving.
No, yeah, it's money saving. I also, I really don't like shoe shops because it's always like the kind of shops where people like they kind of pester you as soon as you walk in.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing I just hate in general is like people coming and like talking to me. I mean, if they're just like quickly saying, "I'm here if you need anything," fantastic. But sometimes
Uh-huh.
people follow you around and they
Mm.
just say, "Oh yeah, that looks great." And I'm like, "All right, listen, I'm not looking for any advice. I just feel watched. I can't properly look at things anymore." Um, no, I just want to be left alone when I'm like buying things. But I know shoe shops, people are notorious for. I don't know if it's maybe because they have some kind of commission.
Mm.
I also know they try to push products on you. Like they always like try to say, "Oh, how about these socks?" Or "Do you need a spray for your shoes?" So there's a lot of that in the shoe shops. I don't know if like what kind of scheme they have there, but
I think they're obligated to do that. I think they were trained to do that. And if they don't, maybe somebody's gonna be their manager is gonna be.
they might say something.
And there are I was thinking about the makeup shops somehow. Like I avoid going to them just because
Is it
of
the
that.
same thing?
Yeah, you mean um, they would really pester you and follow you around and sell you things you don't need. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can really concentrate on like what you really need. Maybe you walked in with an intention in mind, and then they'll mess you up. You forget what you went there in the first place.
Sure, yeah. One that I love though, even though people they usually talk to, but I find they're so friendly and I think they're not invasive, they're just genuinely there to help you, is
Hmm.
Lush.
All right.
Lush, and plus I just love the smell of that shop.
Yeah.
Like it's just so nice.
Yeah. They are really, yeah. You can buy presents from there. Really good presents.
Yeah, and they're so great. They always give you like free stuff too every time you buy something.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And then okay, so we're yeah, pretty much out of time here, guys. So we're gonna start wrapping up. But let's just a couple comments. Clara has okay, so I agree. Okay, so you don't want to first yeah, me neither. No way. Just give me
Hmm.
my space. And sometimes I leave the shops. Yes, exactly. That's like me and my sister. Like my mom is always like, "Oh, why do you guys have to be so unfriendly?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Mom, like we're just, no, they're like following us. They're being so invasive." I'm like, "I'm just not gonna buy it here because of that."
Hmm.
Um, yeah, bye, Antonio. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for the participation, everybody.
Yeah, guys, so we're all pretty much done here. So Hopefully you found this useful. Very good participation, long answers. It really felt like a 10 to 13 focus. So thank you for that. And that's it.
Okay, thank you for being here.
Thank you
So,
guys. Have a lovely evening.
bye.
See you around. Bye bye.